Cornerstone currently has 2,200 staff. We're one of the bigger care organisations in Scotland, and we operate in 19 out of 32 local authorities by way of context. We start with the journey. So where did our journey start? Our chief executive sat at a board meeting having a discussion about Scottish living wage and could we pay our colleagues Scottish living wage, and she drove home that night and said, at what point did care get this bad that we're having a conversation at board about can we pay in fact minimum salary? Something's gone wrong. So myself and Adele and another colleague took 3 months out of the business, and we went to see what other models are out there, not even just in care, all around the world, and what makes organisations successful and perform. And we come up with local Cornerstone. So I can take anything from half an hour to a full day. So I've been given 15 minutes, so I shall do my best. But please do get in touch afterwards if you'd like some more detail. And particularly for this presentation, homing in the things that have already been covered this morning in relation to what it is that we are trying to do. So that was our vision on Local Cornerstone, 4 key things, all about putting the people at the centre of absolutely everything that we did, and we have transformed our organisation because of that. We want to do more than we're contractually obliged to do, and also we really want to value social care. Teachers are valued, nurses are valued, support workers, not so much, and we just think that's wrong and we're trying to do something about it. It's where the model came from. And we want to do some amazing things. If people gone on holiday for the first time that have never been on holiday, since we've introduced Local Cornerstone, that's transformed their lives, their parents' lives. They've just never had that before. That's what it should be all about. So that is it in essence. There are our 9 elements of Local Cornerstone. So you're about to have a whirlwind tour of those 9. And some of them are very key. So I'll start with the bottom left-hand corner. We didn't have a name first of all in relation to working in self-organised, and you'll even see from the slide earlier on about self-management. So that was a big part of it. We were inspired by the Buurtzorg model, but we're not doing Buurtzorg, it's just elements of it, and there's other models that we're inspired by as well. And the self-organised teams we've called local care and support teams, and standing here today we have 67 who are either live, trained, or in the process of coming live, and that actually currently makes up 1/5 of our workforce, and we've set ourselves a number of years to go through this massive transformational change programme. So they're working. There are no managers who manage them. They do have coaches and mentors on the right hand side that support them, but they are not managed. That's a massive change. The next one's technology, which keeps coming out as a theme. And again, we look to see exceptional organisations, what are they actually doing in relation to technology. So we are rolling out our whole 2,200 workforce mobile devices, whether that be tablets or smartphones. And last week we hit 1,000, hopefully with some comms going out this week, that's 1,000 colleagues now have now been given the device. That is unbelievable what they've got access to in relation to the people we support, information they've got access to, what's happening in your community. You've got new internal communication tools, and it's just giving them access at the fingertips and instantly. And we're bringing in a new system through Access, and we are integrating everything where you literally all data is entered once, and then it feeds, pushes and pulls depending on what the system is, from CRM systems to putting something on our website to producing a rota which automatically will invoice, which will automatically pay people on payroll. We are the first client to go integrated. We're feeling the pain of that a wee bit. However, we are nearly there, and there is a payroll parallel run taking place next month. So that is huge, and that will save so much time and money, because we appreciate we need to be more efficient as an organisation, and how we do that is key, and technology is a big part of it. Business systems, paperwork. We thought, right, start with a blank sheet of paper in relation to the people we support. What do they actually need to do in relation to living that quality life? What do our colleagues need? And if they don't need it, stop doing it. So we've done massive things like stop minute taking. People are always fascinated, unless there's a regulatory or legal requirement, stop take minutes. How many organisations are minuting all these things that you're doing? KPIs, got 9. I spoke to a very big council recently and asked them how many they had, and there was everything from 200 to 400, and I went, are you measuring them? Are you doing anything about it? And they're like, no, stop doing it. It's a big part of what we did with Local Cornerstone. Blank sheet of paper, what do you actually need to do to be as efficient as you can be in a very tight environment in relation to efficiencies, and what differences can you make? We took 47 HR policies, we reduced them to 7, and that tends to be the ones that we get most interest in some of the things that we've done. So just keeping things as simple as you possibly can, and reducing paperwork, and obviously that's then linked to technology. It's very difficult if you can't do that, if you don't bring in the technology as well. And some people, when they hear about Cornerstone or local Cornerstone, they just think they're self-organised because it's kind of the latest buzzword. And I have to stress it's all 9 of these elements that I'm walking through. It's not just any one of them that's making the difference to our organisation. Decision making, pushing it right down to front line. Let them make the local decisions. They are the ones who know best. And we literally went from support assistant to a chief executive. There was 9 layers. What a difference to our organisation, and we've just taken all of those out of the structure, which means colleagues in the front line can make decisions in relation to what is important to them, what's important to the people we support. The foundation, that's around doing more and out with in relation to obviously the money that we get from local authorities and health and social care partnerships, and there's been some special things, as I said there. Strong partnerships, we've got some of the partners in the room, SSE, RGU, Andrew from CareSAP, who's coming on later. We could not have done this on our own, and when people come to us for study visits, I stress to them, you need to go and speak to your partners. We spoke to Care Inspectorate, SSE, Chief Executives right at the beginning to walk them through this model to say this is what we're thinking of doing, do you think this will work, do you think this will be good for social care? And they've gone absolutely. So I can't underestimate how important that is. The coaching and mentoring, as I said, we've got no managers in this new model. The coaches are so important. Done study visits and people have doing self-organised teams and they're saying they're not working. I said, have you got managers? They said, I said, my personal view is that won't work. You need to not have the managers, you need to have the coaches there. And I have to stress as well, it's not just about having coaches, you need to have a coaching culture. So all of our 2,200 colleagues are going through this transformational change programme. That means they all need to move to having a coaching approach, and we are starting to see some special things happening, which is amazing. Cornerstone Central, that's the area of the organisation that I oversee, so that's all your business support functions like HR, IT, marketing, comms. Again, research showed that if you can make those as slimline as you can, that's where we get some of the efficiencies, and by March 2020 I need to have found 40% savings since March 17, and I did some analysis last week and we're not far off there, but that's been hard. And you can imagine, a lot of people have worked for us, and it's not that they've done a bad job, but we now need them to work in a different way, and some colleagues have found that hard, or we're having to make some efficiencies. But we try and support people in relation to them leaving the organisation, but I am honest with the fact that you do need to make efficiencies elsewhere, and we've seen some organisations do that and still work very effectively. And then the last one in the middle, which is the meeting I was at this morning, is capturing our stories. So as at a few hours ago, we currently have nearly 100 stories in relation to the change that we've gone through, so whether that be from colleagues, people we support, local authorities, and we'll hopefully see a lot more of those coming out, because we're trying to help people in relation to sharing what we're doing through the art of storytelling, and have trained up 14 colleagues in relation to having that skill. So where they might have lost out in some ways, there's other skills that they're doing. Of course, this is all about what skills are you developing your workforce. That slide alone, I could talk for hours in relation to all the different skills that they're doing. And some things have been really easy, and some things have been harder. And I think we underestimated the upskilling, because obviously if they've not got managers, they don't know what they don't know, which is always the classic line we come up with. So training, we've got our own training academy, has been absolutely crucial to the success of supporting colleagues going through those changes, and the process that they then have to. But again, going back to the coaches and mentors, they're crucial, particularly the mentors, because that on the job coaches in relation to that coaching culture. And if you can get some of those to start coming together, as you say, that collaborative working even internally, never mind externally, which others have touched on, then you can start to do something very special. So that's our organisation chart. We threw away traditional approaches with some things, and you'll see we turned it upside down. It is intentional. The board are at the bottom, and the individuals, who are the people we support, are at the top. They are the most important part of our organisation. And what do they need? They're surrounded by team members, which is a self-organised team. We have 10 branches that cover the 19 local authority areas, and we have 7 coaches. And then what sits underneath them is the Cornerstone Central and Training Academy, who support them. And even that was a culture change that we went through, where it was very much them and us, operations and business support. And business support really should be sitting there delivering the service that operations want, rather than them changing a policy because one person's done something in one part of the country. Well, you've got that wrong, therefore we better change it for all. No, have the conversation with that person, please ask them not to do it again, and then don't change it. So it massive culture change there. And again, you know, you always stress you can't have anarchy, so you can't have people going off and doing whatever they want. So therefore there still needs to be a framework for them to work within. But again, going back to that, keeping it simple, we get rid of 6 different HR policies and we created a one-page guideline. And a good example of that is bullying and harassment. I don't know how many of you all get policies and how many pages it's got. Ours is one line that says we have 0 tolerance to bullying and harassment, full stop. No one should be bullied, harassed. And then it's looked into formally. So big changes like that help then change the culture. Again, they've got mobile devices. They've got access to all the policies online in a touch of a button. And then with some things you can even then have the links to the websites because they've got mobile devices, so SSSCs. Obviously with certain things, it's got their website that instantly takes them through to their webpage. ACAS for HR, no point reinventing the wheel. So again, if you sit and think through your organisation and all the different touch points an organisation has and bring those together, you really can start to create something a bit special. And then we're probably the least important, one of the 5 senior leaders, and that's intentional as well, that we're down the bottom. We want colleagues at the top driving the organisation more on what should happen. So that's our operating model. As I said, we can't have anarchy, so how do we do that? You have to give people a framework, and that's the Cornerstone triangle. That, I have to tell you, has gone worldwide. Someone came to visit us from Australia, and I said, oh, can I just ask? And they went, oh, we found out about your triangle. And I went, okay, I'm impressed now. Over a triangle, someone came from Australia. Because it's simple and it's easy to understand. Yes, we want this new way of working. We can't compromise on quality of care. We can't compromise in relation to the skills and development of our colleagues. So how do we do that? We have to make sure our workforce are competent. They have to have clarity of their own. And then underneath then you have the trust and empowerment. Now what sits right in the middle of that? I think you touched on it, Laura, didn't you? Those values. 2 C's, 2 P's. We kept it really simple. People know what they are. And I even did a test one day when another care provider was in our room. I said, oh, all our colleagues know our values. I said, I'll grab the next person who walks past my office. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I hope this is going to happen. And they came in and she just rounded them off 2 C's, 2 P's. And he went, okay, I'm impressed. I went, so am I, glad that worked. But keep things simple. I know I've said it a few times already. That's how you really start to get those transformational change in that culture. And don't be afraid to challenge the traditional way of working, the amount of myths that we had in our organisation. So I was actually implementing local Cornerstone. That was my role for a couple of years at the beginning, as well as Cornerstone Central. And the amount of people that said, you can't do that. The SSSC won't let you. And I said, okay, could you show me the legislation that says that, or regulation? Could you show me where that says that in the law that you can't do that? To this day, not one person produced something that said we couldn't do it. Really interesting. So again, just for yourselves, have a think of what myths might be in your organisation. And the coaches fed back that it was the first thing they used to do. They used to sit down and went, right, what's the myth busting we need to do? And again, they just walked through, can we do this, can we do that? And that was quite interesting. And that helped the transformational change, and that actually helped change the culture, which are the 2 biggest things I think that we need to do for the social care sector. So that's just some tweets. So again, we've empowered, we've trusted all these colleagues. They now have got their own Facebook pages. Hard one for marketing comms, because they only wanted one Cornerstone one, and we're going, no, we're trying to change. You need to let them have their local 10 branches, so we'll let them have it within a guideline of what you can do. And now it is, I don't know if any of you do follow us, but I would encourage you to do it, particularly on Twitter with the LCasts. If you look for that, you'll actually see from people who are operating this way of working the difference it's actually made to them as colleagues, the difference it's made to people we support. We've had one self-organised team working for 2 years. I went out to see them a few weeks ago. I said, what is the biggest difference? There's one thing, what is it? They said, the amount of time we spend with the people we support now. The amount of time, I'm going to get goosebumps, the amount of times we take them out, we would never have been able to do that before, because you get rid of the paperwork, we're using the technology, we know what decisions we're able to make, we know the ones we aren't, we need to ask for advice. You're there if you need us. We brought in an advice and support service. The difference is unbelievable. That's what it's all about. So they were the things I was asked to cover, what was sent out. So what can I do now? I think it's have your vision. Ours was local Cornerstone. I'm always at pains to say that's not what your vision should be. Your vision should be for you as individuals, you as teams, you as an organisation. Think what you can do, what support's available. Lots, just go and ask. Even when we took months out of the business, I just went to the lawyer and went, you've got loads of offices, can we just use your office for a few months to go off on site? And he went, yes, okay. Excellent. You know, just as a sector, even today in the train station, I'm going, what's the cheapest train ticket you can get to get up to Aberdeen? If I change it Perth, it's quicker, because I've come from Glasgow. And she's like, no, it's no problem. They're small examples, but they build into big things, and you're starting the change that we need to do more of. And then change perception of low status, low value. It's just not good enough. There was an article in The Guardian recently. I don't know if you saw it or not. And again, we will start by doing things with the BBC and Herald to try and make changes, but we just need to do more individually, collectively, to make the change happen. And we want to keep skilled workers. People are leaving our sector in droves. You know, we need to stop that happening, so what can we actually do? And I actually worked out this stat just for this presentation alone. So our local care and support teams, those working in a self-organised format, 83% of staff turnover has gone down over a 6-month period. That's off the scale. It's less than 1%. You know, so just people KPIs, the LCAS are outperforming the rest of the organisation. It is really exciting. They are happier. They are not off sick as often, and they are not leaving. They are very powerful. Again, we only have 9. There's only 3 of them for people. Keep it simple. Don't need to measure all these other things. Those 3 things will tell you everything that you need to know in relation to your people. And make employers aware of new innovation. We've done a lot of this. I've already mentioned the mobile devices, the fully integrated systems. We're doing technology enabled care that Andrew's going to talk about, so I won't touch on that. And that internal comms tool is part of our research. We went to Holland. Holland outperformed every other country in Europe. There are so many things that they're doing that they get right. And when we did a couple of study visits and we came back, we were missing that from our model, that internal comms tool. And we brought that into the organisation. And I sat in a meeting today and they're going, oh, I can set up that as a team and we can share this, we can do that, I can update it, then you can update it. What a difference. Give them the tools, give them the framework, and then sit back and then I say, watch the magic happen. And honestly, within Cornerstone, there is an awful lot of magic happening. And it was interesting that learning and training can start. School influence, teachers, carers, parents, and I just put we all influence. Every single day, we are touch points for everyone we come into contact, particularly all of yourself as professionals. You can influence in every shape or form. I've influenced in a meeting I had this morning, we're making something happen. And that's the difference I think we can all make. And we all say a thank you. Thank to the partners, we couldn't have done this on our own. I'm very, very grateful for all the people who've supported us, including the SSSE who did actual learning sets, which again was another part of our culture, and now we're about to roll those out across the organisation. And just to finish that, I know it's a very well-known quote, but we remind ourselves of that. Sorry. Thank you for listening.